Good evening from the mountains of Wakayama, Japan. We get to start with a little bit of a special treat here as this train literally goes right under us. Oh, what a beautiful start for tonight's walk. And look at this little village tucked into this valley. This is what it's all about. And tonight we're gonna explore. Usually I will do these walks at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, but when the village is this small, it almost feels worth doing it in the evening. We get the same lighting conditions, avoid all the hot summer heat beating down on us, and along the way, we might even run into one or two little adventures. This is the tunnel that train just disappeared into, and that is where we started up there. And today we're exploring this tiny little town of Koyashita in the area of Kudoyama in Wakayama Prefecture. On previous adventures, we've made our way into Wakayama, and I never got to spend as much time here as I wanted, so I've made a dedicated point today to come out and show what makes this area so special and why it's grabbed my heart the way that it has. Like, look at it, look at it. Even just right here, this space just absolutely makes me want to just stop, take it in, take a photo. And it'd be easier to do that if my iPhone lens wasn't all smudged up, but here we go. Okay, so today we are going to explore this area coming down this way here. And the station is actually right here. We're gonna kind of blow by it, skip right through it, and try to explore as much of the town, especially along the riverside, as possible. But if you look carefully right here, this station kind of has something special. Now, if you've been keeping up with videos on the Tokyo Lens Explorer channel, you'll know exactly what's up. If you just stumbled on this one or you're a little behind, maybe, just maybe, this will come as a bit of a surprise to you, and I'll show a little bit of it maybe at the end, a few second peek. But this particular station here actually has a hotel right in it, right beside the kaisatsu or ticket gate. Now, I've actually come out traveling in this right here, but I had to try it out. We never stay in hotels, and I thought if we're going to, it's got to be an interesting one, and it is. We come through this tunnel right here, and it brings us to something about this area that instantly told me a lot about the area and caught my attention and heart, and I really loved, and I want to show it to you. So we've got a little map that shows you how simple the village itself is, but the thing that really captured my heart and attention is right here. This is the 0 yen ichiba, or the 0 yen market. Then you might be thinking, well, it doesn't really look like much of a market, Norm. And well, I don't know why you have to say it that way, but yeah, you might be right, except for you've got some green onions right here, negi. You've got some cutie right here. These are cucumber plants. Pretty sure that is rhubarb back there. And then you have little tomatoes right here. I can't tell you how much I love the fact that you can just come and grab yourself a little tomato plant. I'm very tempted. It would need to make it all the way back to Tokyo safely, And there's some pretty beautiful wild stuff over this way, but since I've already explored that way, we can do that last. I want to start by going across the bridge and exploring the village up this way. And then maybe at the very end, we'll take a tiny peek into the hotel room, because that is such a treat all in its own. Or you can just catch an entire video all about that. So right out of the gate, can anybody tell me what it is that you are seeing in front of me right here? Does anybody know? Any guesses? Any guesses at all? That is going to be the local fire station, central, right in the middle of town. And then we've got some parking spaces right here. You know, I'm gonna step up onto here so that I do not get squished by the locals. And this area right here, it always amazes me when people will build their houses right on the edge like this in Japan, especially in Japan, an earthquake prone country. At least this one has really solid looking concrete and metal poles. Every now and then you'll have people build out their stuff like that with just wood, and the wood has rotted and they're still living in there every single day. But if we come up this way, you can see kind of an idea of where we are. So you've got Hanazono about 25 kilometers that way. Koyasan is about 19 kilometers. And this Ryujin Spa, which I've never heard of, must be fantastic, because despite being 70 kilometers away, it is on the sign out there. So, and this seems to be the road out of town that everybody's enjoying. We are gonna head up this way and just explore a little bit about what this place is about. Now, every now and then, we get these little side adventures here. We had gone recently on a little bit of an adventure walk where those side adventures were, well, they're what it was all about. Every single street in that area was a side adventure all of its own, and there's so many tiny and narrow streets. But what we'll do is we'll see if we can't swing our way up this way. Now, if you're anything like me, all the moss and running water is just an absolute pleasure to be around. And then this area here, get the house up here, right up there. Or even this up here with the sunset, and we came from down here. Oh, just the opportunity to walk through these little local villages is something that I really cherish. If you're new, maybe you haven't been around a while. I originally, I gotta figure out which one's the road and which one's people's driveways. That is likely someone's driveway. That is likely road, so I will go this way. I spent a long time in Japan. I came here with the idea like I was going to be some kind of traveler, some adventurer. I was going to experience all of Japan, and then life happened and work happened. And then next thing I knew, I was working full time, and I was constantly going home in office, and months went by, years went by, decade went by, and there I was, still in Japan, but I hadn't traveled or explored it at all. And so, like the detail, look at this, just this scene alone, just this. Oh, the way the light comes through, and so now, here we are, and I'm actually able to explore Japan and find these little pathways and sometimes they lead to adventure, and sometimes they just accidentally lead to someone's backyard. And nobody really seems to mind, and more often than not, they're happy to see you. And I have absolutely fallen in love with the country of Japan just because of that. Because it's the kind of place where you're actually safe to kind of make a mistake. And there we go. I found our tiny road. We've looped into our tiny road. It's the kind of place where as long as you come with good intentions and a smile on your face, then the vast majority of people that I have ever come across are incredibly welcoming and friendly. Sometimes it takes a little more warm-up time. And unfortunately, being from the West, we expect people to kind of, we greet them with a smile, they greet us with a smile. But every now and then it takes people just a little bit longer. Earlier today, actually, I had gone to a local market, and when I got into this market, I greeted the first kind of table of people that I saw there and didn't get a greeting back. They just stared at me. And I was like, oh, this is rare. They're kind of unfriendly. What is this? And then as I kind of walked around the market, I started to realize that almost any and every unfriendly experience that I've had in Japan has either been a mistaken perception of my own or something that I did. There's usually, if not always, some way that I can take responsibility for it. And so in learning a little bit about the place, also look at the river down here, I learned that the yakitori, or the chicken skewers in that area, were something to die for, and realized that that was the yakitori place, the chicken skewer place. And so I found my way back there and greeted them once more, asking to buy some chicken skewers. Also the bubble windows. Oh, how I love the bubble windows. Oh, I love it so much. It reminds me of the Nakagin capsule tower and the round windows. We're not creative enough with windows anymore. I don't know, maybe other places are. I feel like Japan isn't. And when I went back and I greeted them and I said, I would like to grab some, what is your recommendation? They were super warm and welcoming and friendly and happy to have me. And I realized that I might have been like a little nervous because of how dark it was in there, or whatever reasons it might have been, because it was kind of dark in there and it felt really abandoned. It didn't feel like the kind of place I was supposed to be. So I very likely went in with more trepidation than I had initially and realized, I think is the word I should be using. And by reapproaching and reinitiating the conversation, which heavily focused around how much firewood is in here. Somebody is using this for firewood storage. No, we did not actually talk about firewood storage. But by reinitiating I hear a train coming by and I'm missing it. Am I gonna be able to get it? Let's see, we'll come over this way. I don't think I'm gonna be able to see it from here. Oh, I can kind of see it. We kind of get like a little tiny peek of it. Can we zoom in? We get a tiny, teeny peek at the train right there. That was me blowing away a mosquito. There are some really, really beautiful trains that come through here as well. And they only come through at specific times of the day also. Just this, again, built right onto the side as the train hisses and rolls away in the distance. I wave and I say thank you. And so me going back and kind of reattempting, I was able to wipe out my initial view of, oh, okay, maybe they're not friendly. And it wasn't until I did that that I was able to gain enough perspective to see like, okay, maybe I came into this market a little more nervous than I usually am. And what have we got going over here? Just got some brick that has dug out a hole. And we got some water dripping. Like, just random aesthetic stuff in Japan to fall in love with. There it is. Just this mossy wall with, like, the pole kind of ruins it. No lies. The pole throws it off. And I don't think anybody can see the sign up there anyway because it's covered with a tree. But just the random aesthetic stuff, and I'm gonna get squished by a car if I don't get off to the side of the road here. Oh, how I love it. Oh, how I love it so much. I don't do as many of these in the evening as I should. I'm enjoying this. It's jumped from the incredibly wet season directly to, see that there? I really want to go down that and take a peek at the river, but this is all private residences, so I can all but guarantee that would land me in somebody's backyard. And that is where our conversation kind of started. Is Japan is, I know, we've gone full loop and it took us a long time to get there. And that is the beauty of Tokyo Lens Explorer. Japan is a country where it's safe to make social mistakes. And honestly, that is something that I really wish that I could hammer home to people. I really wish that, that just feels like this property has to be almost like abandoned, because this is a Totoro level. Oh yeah, there's nothing but giant spider webs. I'm just gonna back up because I already walked through several spider webs and now I'm pretty sure yet again there are spiders. Yep, there's spiders living on me. Hello dude, how you doing? And so me ever so distracted. I will make this point. Everybody comes to Japan really nervous, thinking that they have to get everything right. You don't have to get everything right. You're not going to offend people. Just be a good person. Just be friendly. Just be open. Just smile. Say hi. If you make a mistake, that is okay. Just, one of the things that I used to really lean into is when I was doing photography and whatnot, I used to do street photography, and that means every now and then taking photos of strangers. And sometimes people would walk up to you and be like, hey, come on. And I, at the beginning, was always like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I would get really nervous. But one day, a good friend of mine, Lucas, him and I were out shooting. He took a photo of someone. They approached him rather aggressively saying, "Did you just take a photo of me?" And Lucas responded like the most friendly human I have ever seen in my entire life, being like, "Absolutely I did. Would you like to see it?" I would, yeah, please. And Lucas showed it to me. He's like, "Oh wow, that's a really good photo." And Lucas is like, "Yeah, I could get you a copy, or if you're really uncomfortable with it, I could just completely delete it." And the guy's like, no, actually, can I get a copy of that? And I realized that for as aggressive as that gentleman approached, it was able to be turned around into a really positive situation. And I locked into that and tried to hold that with me for quite some time. And we are getting to a section of the village that does not have a lot of stuff in it, but I am here for it. This is the beauty of doing these walks in 4K, is I don't need to worry about signal cutting out, because right now my phone is showing 0 bars, and trying to do this as a live stream would have meant no signal. So I'm glad that we're here. But you can turn what might initially seem like a negative or stressful situation into something infinitely more positive with your reaction. That was a huge turning point, a huge learning point for me. I didn't need to respond with, I'm sorry. I didn't need to respond with nervousness. I could just respond with friendliness. And that has worked so much. And there have been so many times where I've been taking photos, maybe doing street photography, or maybe I'm way up on a staircase or even a rooftop and I had a security guard come up once and be like, hey, what are you doing? And I just smiled and said, I am taking photos of the beautiful night sky and the skyline. And he grabbed my arm. I thought I was in so much trouble. He dragged me, he opened up a gate. I was like, oh my God, what is he gonna do? Throw me off the roof? He pulls me up and he's like, no, the view's better over here. He's standing on this like random Tokyo rooftop with this particular security guard. He just lights up a cigarette and he sits there, watches me take some photos, and we have a nice little conversation. And interestingly, I think that this type of turn it into a positive interaction is really what people secretly hope for. I think even I hope for it. You always hope that any kind of stressful situation can, like maybe you're not consciously like, oh, I hope this stress turns into something great, but in the back of our mind, we want that. Japan is definitely a key player for that. One of my closest Japanese friends, used to, anytime that I did make a mistake that I felt was, incredibly maybe taboo or offensive or stressful. Yeah, maybe I was overly rude. Maybe I went down this set of stairs and offended the kappas that live down there. I don't know. But these situations here, I would often over apologize. And one of my closest Japanese friends was like, no, don't, like, you apologize once, don't apologize more, because then you're creating this like sorry atmosphere, and then the other person has to kind of deal with that too. Just, be positive about it. And I always struggled at that time with, how do you just do that, right? How do you just, but as somebody who travels around, who hikes hidden pathways and explores areas and whatnot, most times, showing that you do not have bad intent and just saying hi, having a bit of chat really works out. Japan is way better, and that's why I'm going on about this. Like, I really want to drive this point home, because I think so many people would enjoy their time in Japan so much more if they just knew how much potential there was for any stressful situation to turn into a good one. I was shooting something in a cafe the other day, and I was literally just zoomed into a computer screen with my camera trying to get, the screenshot thing wasn't working. It was a pain in the butt anyway. And the person beside me, I guess on the other side of the screen, was like, hey, I'm not can you not take photos? And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, the camera was kind of pointing your direction. I'm sure you'd be worried about being in it. I showed them that they're not in, also the sky today. I love the sky. I showed them that they're not in the photo, and that I was just kind of taking a shot of my screen because the screenshot thing wasn't working. And they're like, now I feel bad. I was nervous to even say anything. And I'm like, no, everybody cares about their privacy. And next thing you know, the next 20 minutes of my life was connecting with this person in a cafe because my screenshot wasn't working and I instead needed to take a photo with my phone. And I think it would have been just as easy to be like, yeah, I'm not taking your photo, or just say sorry and have it end. And there'd be this like weird atmosphere because I'm like, oh, sorry, right? But, konnichiwa, no more. Oh my goodness. There is a little shrine up there, and it's so slippery that I might die trying to get up there, but I'm gonna give it a shot. It's very, very mossy. It's very, very, oh my goodness, very, very slippery. Oh, it's very spider webby. Very spider webby. But we're gonna try and get up here. Oh, I love also this. This is like a tiny culture shock that I've never recovered from in Japan, is that these brooms are the most common brooms you'll see in Japan, and they are used absolutely everywhere. This is likely here for the caretaker of this shrine to take care of this very vertical attempt at a stairway. And there we go. It's a tiny little, yet another tiny little danger shrine. Oh, I like finding stuff like this, and the bamboo behind it adds to the aesthetic so much. I really, really enjoy this. Like, look at this right here. And now, for arguably the much, much more difficult and dangerous part of this journey, it is going down. As I have done so many times in these Tokyo Lens Explore adventures. Oh, yep, we almost went down there. I didn't plan on doing that much foresty stuff this time, and so I'll come clean and say I am not wearing my appropriate hiking boots for this. Ankle support would be absolutely lovely right now, but I don't want to speak too soon, knock on wood. It looks like I may have made it down all the way to the bottom, safe and sound. So we'll continue on down this way. But yeah, that last one was just an example of how it could have just been like an awkward, like, oh, sorry, but just taking a moment to be like, oh, she's probably worried about her privacy, and I can take away that stress right away just by showing her. And then her being like, oh, I feel terrible. I didn't want to say anything to begin with. Just, you know, it was just approached in such a friendly, conversational way, and it just made it so easy to talk. And obviously, I'm not saying come to Japan and do dumb crap and just like be friendly to get out of it. Don't do that, because like obviously if you have the intention of doing dumb crap, nobody's going to be happy and you will be judged for that. Don't hang off of the train rings. Don't, you know, be loud and crazy. Like, still be a decent person with general common sense. And it's kind of funny because my Japanese friends, when I first started hanging out with Japanese people back in university, would often use the word common sense and hello little frogs. But I feel like common sense in Japan, common sense already is not the most common thing in the world. I think we all know that. But I feel like common sense in Japan is even less common. I think it's very, very detailed, and it's not as, I don't want to keep saying common. It's not, I can't find the right English words. I can hear the sentence in my head in Japanese right now and I can't say it in English. It is not obvious to everybody everywhere. And I think that it does take a little bit of time learning. For example, look at the greenery here though. Learning what Japanese consider to be good and bad manners and everything. And I think some people get an idea of this and they lock onto it so hard. Like it's a switch. It's a yes and no, and you can do this, you can't do that, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. They will judge themselves on it and severely stress themselves to, you know, be a certain way, maybe more than they need to. And then they will heavily judge others for not doing it the way they did, though they've been so stressed to maintain it. Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense. I did a video on like all the shopping around Tokyo. That was not the video. That was such a bad sentence. I did a video on where to buy everything in Tokyo, because Tokyo is segmented into different sections. You've got areas just for books, you have an entire town just for snowboarding, you have an entire town just for anime or electronics, you have an entire town just for music and art, and the entire city is broken down into these little towns that makes up one big city of Tokyo, each with its own specific purpose. And in going in and shooting this video, you know what? I think I want to come around and do this way. We're gonna do a little bit of rerunny stuff here as we go back up through where we went at the beginning, but I have a goal with this and a place that I want to end up. So we're gonna go this way. And in doing this, I approached a lot of shops and said, hey, do you mind if I shoot in your shop? Or hey, do you mind if I shoot right out front of your shop? And a lot of them, and some of them you cannot shoot in. There's a bunch of knife shops in the Kappabashi area of Asakusa that are very, very strict about that stuff. But I know them from years ago, since I lived there forever. So I was just able to ask, hey, can I shoot here? And I think one of the most common comments that I got on that video in like the negative realm was, hey, you're not allowed to be shooting in Japanese shops. This is taboo in Japanese culture. But actually it's not. I'm sure they heard or learned that somewhere, or maybe they had an experience of someone saying, hey, we don't, that's another thing. Japanese people love to generalize. So if Japanese want you to stop something that they as a person feel uncomfortable with, they will often say, Japanese people feel this way. And they will, so like, if you're shooting in a shop and the owner of that shop wants you to stop, they might say something like, Japanese people don't like you shooting in their shop. It took me the longest time to learn that so many Japanese people are kind of speaking for everyone, when really what they mean is themselves, and that it actually doesn't apply to everyone. Does that make sense? It took me just the longest time to learn that. And once I did, a lot of stress melted away, because especially with the tourism boom and with so many smaller businesses struggling and being beaten out by the big places, a lot of places do want you to shoot. In fact, if you look carefully, a vast number of shops will actually have signs up that say, you know, here's our Instagram, please tag us, please post this to your Instagram, feel free to take photos. You can go into a ton of different shops and see signs like that all over the place. Some will even encourage it and put up signs, for example, like hard off, hobby off, off home, that whole range has signs all over the place saying social media, okay, please share. And so it's not that all Japanese people don't want you. It was that the person who told you did not want you, and they wanted that to sink in so much and not take personal responsibility. And so instead they hide behind a layer of Japanese people feel this way. And so that becomes something that sticks with a lot of people, because when somebody also, can we just take a look at this Popo gas here for a second? These Popo gas tanks are neat, and I like the little faces they have on them. That is it. I just wanted to share the Popo gas tanks. A lot of people will hide behind, well, all Japanese people feel this way, when it's just them, because it means they don't have to take responsibility for what they're saying. They can put it on Japanese culture, and it's not always accurate. I had Japanese friends when I lived back in Canada, and one of them was very, very particular about what Japanese people find to be acceptable, or what Japanese people think I should wear, or what Japanese people think about what school I go to. And it really turns out, over the years, I learned that it was just that person's opinions masked behind the words what Japanese people think. It wasn't what Japanese people thought, it was what that person thought. And there is a shrine here, as you can see, that is beautiful. Actually, so I mentioned there's an entire tour on the hotel. The shrine is in that tour. So if you want to see the shrine in detail, you can see it there. So is this temple, but the view up here is definitely worth checking out, especially now that the sun has gone down behind the mountains. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people lock into the idea of what is right and what is wrong in Japan. And you know, something like taking off your shoes as you enter somebody's house, that's a pretty universal one. That's pretty standard across the board. But there are also other things that come down to personal preference, or preference of that shop, or whatever it might be. And so be aware of those as well. And you know what? Whatever this is, I didn't check it out. And before it gets too dark to do so, I'm gonna try to make my way up this little hill here and see if we can't find out. You can see the whole village back here. And again, I have recorded this entire walk rather than doing it on an action cam like I usually would. Because of lighting and everything, I decided I'm gonna do this one on the Luna Ultra by Insta360, which means it's not as wide as the shot that we usually get, but hopefully it should be a lot clearer. And what have we got going here? All right. So it looks like the shrine down there. And then there's just a bit of a seating area over here. I was kind of hoping just a little bit. So there's a bell up here and everything. And I was kind of hoping that we might get one last train from up here and get kind of that high angle. You know what this area right here with the red bridge and everything reminds me of? It gives me the feeling of like a tiny little ghetto onsen area. Like if there's like a mini ghetto onsen, I feel like this is what it would be like. Ah, I really like it here. I have been leaning in super heavy to the tiny villages lately, and really, I keep saying really, immensely, truly, from the bottom of my heart, enjoying. But so the main town near here, what was it called? Kudoyama? The Kudoyama town, or Kudoyama-cho, Kudoyama-machi around here is under 4,000 residents. I think it's like 3,700 or something like that, with a heavily aged population of over 50% of the residents being over 65. But this Koyashita Station area here, can anybody guess how many people live in this area? Go ahead, I will give you a second to render a guess at how many people live in this area. You ready? Because I'm going to tell you. This little village that we have walked around here only has a population of about 200 people. And for 200 people, there is a station built. For 200 people, there is this little town built. And I absolutely am in love with that. This station has been around since 1925. 1925, this station was built. And it is just such a beautiful piece of Japanese history. Again, if you want to see more about the temple and whatnot, the room tour video is going to be your best friend on that. But there's something kind of extreme over in this direction over here that I want to show. I want to show the rest of, I guess is a better sentence. And as I do this, the whole time, I've just been secretly hoping that we get one more train coming through just with the perfect view. I don't hear any trains. I don't feel like we're gonna get that one perfect train coming through just yet. So we're gonna keep going, and who knows, maybe at the very, very last moment, we'll be lucky and be graced with one. But look at all the green. So here's something that I didn't really get. I went out to do a Tokyo Lens adventure late fall, early winter. And I got about 4.5 hours away from Tokyo and turned around and came back, because almost every place that I wanted to shoot wasn't quite white yet, and there was no green. It was just a ton of brown. And so this building right here is the next one that I wanted to show, because if you look at this, not only is it narrow, we saw this from the other side, but it's second floor, and knowing that the vast majority of the residents here are old, that means that they're climbing stairs every single day to get up there, and it's just a few support pillars really that are holding up this entire thing. And I feel like there's got to be a train coming soon. So before we wrap up with one quick peek of the room, I want to get a good view of the wait. As I say that, I feel like I hear something in the distance. Like a bum 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 of is that? Oh, now here we go. Now I really feel like I'm hearing some train sounds. I can hear the whistle and the screech. Now this one here, this particular train, I always feel like it's coming, and then it just makes the sound like it's really close for a long time and then just doesn't show up. There it is, coming around the corner. Oh, what a shot. I love it. Oh, I absolutely love it. What a treat. Oh, I love this so much. You can't tell me that wasn't just wildly picturesque. And there's a train on the other side as well. Is it just arriving, or is it just, I think it's just arriving at the exact same time. You know what? if we kind of rush, maybe we'll be able to get to the other side. I doubt it, but you know what? I've always been one for trying, and so trying is exactly what I'm gonna do as we rush down this way. And then we're back to right here near the beginning, and you can kind of see the train up there with the station. I think it's gonna pull out before I can get up there. I think if I rush, I'm gonna miss it, but there we go. Yeah, I knew it. If I ran up the stairs, I was just gonna miss the train. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we'll head up this way. Now, oh, it looks like all the birds are, oh, there's babies in there too. I did not realize that. Huh? So, oh wow, there's a lot of them too. Oh no, I'm struggling. There we go. Whoa. Whew. That took some zoom effort. Now, this here is really what makes it super, super special, because you see that? That is a door to a room. This is the kaisatsu, or ticket gate to the train platform. And of course we have our train schedule up here, our ticket machines here. This is not like a set or anything. This is all 100% real. And then the door is right here. It's got a little name for it. There's even a photo of it here. Let me see if I can get our... There. I've gotten us in. And then this is our room. And the room itself is such a special little delight. It's so much better than I ever could have possibly imagined that it would be. I love it so much. And if you want a full peek at the room and all of the experience, I will link that video for you at the end. But what did you think of this little town? I personally love it. Leave me something down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And you know, the adventure will continue, and I will see you again real soon.